Back in 1998, 99, I moved off my boat, and most of you have heard that story of how I manifested that boat and created this amazing life. That was like 96, 97, but I moved off the boat. I sold it and opened a horse training facility in San Diego. So one of my biggest dreams in life was to work with horses like all the time. So when I got tired of living on my boat and I didn't want to do the marketing stuff anymore because I had my own marketing agency at the time, I went ahead and took the proceeds from my boat and moved to a training facility. Well, it was a horse boarding and whatever facility in San Diego. It used to be a Western barn. And I moved in there and took over and created a hunter jumper barn, which became radically successful really quickly. And was engaged at the time to a guy who was a recovered alcoholic. Little did I know, he never told me why he didn't drink. He just said he didn't drink. And when this whole thing came about, and let me back up just a little bit. In 1995, when I moved to San Diego from Seattle, everything that was going on with my daughter, who was born in October of 91. At that time, she was little, like really little. And we were moving. She was almost 4 years old at that time. We were moving away from Seattle to get away from her abuse. And at that time, you know, I prayed and I asked Spirit if I could leave and go back to California. And I was directed to go to San Diego because I'd never lived there and I didn't know anyone. It was far enough from my family that I did have in Orange County that it was a good new start for us as we healed from her molest. And they had the facilities there to take care of the counseling and whatever. But in 95, when they told me, yes, you can move to San Diego, Spirit, I mean, they also said, but in 5 years, you're moving to Colorado. And I was like, no. That's not, no. Nowhere in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine moving to Colorado. First of all, Colorado's flipping cold. I was born and raised in California and then lived in Seattle. Colorado was nowhere on my radar. And I just wrote it off, but they assured me that I was moving to Colorado at some point. But I went and lived my life for 5 years and had a great marketing career, lived on the boat, and then opened this training facility in California. And it was, like I said, wildly successful right out of the gate. I had a ton of clients. I trained horses. I rehabilitated race horses and abused horses. I became the problem horse trainer and fixed the horses' problems that were mostly riders. And there was a point, I don't even remember what the timing of this was, but things were starting to go off course with the business and with my relationship. My now ex, but then fiance, started to disappear and apparently was drinking. And like I said, I didn't know he was a recovered alcoholic. He fell off the wagon. And in this 1 week time span, literally, the business was thriving. Everything was amazing. And then he disappeared. And in that time frame that he disappeared, so did a bunch of money out of the bank account. And Spirit woke me up one morning when the power went out at the farm for no apparent reason and said, you're moving to Colorado. Time's up. You got to go. I always get 5-year warnings, probably because I'm super stubborn when it comes to following Spirit. If it's a big change, I get a 5-year warning. I got a 5-year warning about Bella being born. I got a 5-year warning about moving to Colorado, but I was in big resistance and I had a great business. I had a great life. While it was stressful and everything else, I was happy. I was doing what I dreamed of and they let me live that dream out, right? But then time's up. It was time for me to step into my gifts. And at that time, while I used my gifts for the horses and working with my students that I taught riding and whatnot, I didn't give readings. I mean, people knew that I had abilities, but it wasn't something that I, helped other people with other than working with people that would show up. And I had at that time already a bunch of teenagers that I helped. So anyways, hi, Cheryl. 2000 came and things were in an upheaval. in this 1 week. Literally, like a bunch of money disappeared out of our account. And it was all the rest of the money I had from my boat sale. Plus, he and I ran a headhunting company for technology, and that business was going like gangbusters too. But he disappeared, and so did the money. And apparently, his family blamed me for him falling off the wagon, which fine, whatever. And in their upset with me, called into my power utility company, my water company, and everything at the farm and shut everything off, even though it was in my name, pretended that it was me. Whole long story. Nonetheless, that morning I woke up out of a massive, like, freak out dream that there was all these explosions and things were happening. That was the last dream of the day. I woke up and Spirit said, it's time to go. And I'm like, go where? And they said, Colorado. And I was like, what are you talking about? All this drama happened. Nonetheless, I was like, by the end of that day and getting everything turned back on, like, all right, if I don't go, what happens? Like, if I plant myself here and don't go, what happens? And it wasn't a good answer. It was like, you think things are bad now, they're going to get worse. And you've got to sell everything. It's time to go. Pay your bills here. Leap of faith. Time to go. And I was like freaked out and going, I don't know what I'm going to do, but they gave me like a week to clear the ranch, to get all the horses moved out, to get all of the equipment that I had barely used, maybe a year, and sell it and make this leap of faith. Uproot me and my daughter. I had 8 horses personally at the time. I think there was somewhere in the range of 30 to 50 horses at the farm at the time. Like, everybody had to be out and go. And I lost everything, like everything. And I sat in that place going, I'm trusting in this voice that I can't see, that's telling me I got to move to Colorado. And I don't know anyone in Colorado. It's the mountains. I've never lived in the mountains. What the hell am I doing? Like, this is insane. So I took a week and went on a retreat in Sedona. And I wrote about that. If you guys are in Charm Life or you've read my book, there's a little story about my little hike in Sedona. But I took a week off and went to Sedona, left my daughter with my friend because I was freaked out. And I was like, you guys want me to uproot my entire life and give up everything I've worked for? And I'm finally living my dream. And I don't know what the hell. So I went on this hike, and the direction I got is sometimes you can't see the top. I went on this hike in Sedona where I could not find the damn path to get me to the top. I struggled for hours, and it was almost noontime by the time, and I was at Cathedral Rock. If you've ever been to Sedona, there's this whole little story that happened there, but I wrote about in the book. But it was a simple thing of Spirit telling me, you need to be willing to look beyond what you see right now. There is a path that's been cleared before you by the angels, and you're going to have faith. So I went back to San Diego, loaded a moving truck, made 3 phone calls, 3 phone calls, and had wrote a list. Okay, if I'm moving to Colorado, I'll do it. And I bargained with Spirit. I said, if this is the right move for me and my highest good, I want a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I want it light. I want it bright. I want it on acreage where I can bring at least 2 of my horses, at least 2 of the 8. And those were 2 that were, one was one of my Arabs who was amazing. And the other one was one that I rescued. And I knew that if I let him go, he was going to be put down. So that was my deal with Spirit. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And if you can do it for under $500 a month, I'll go. And at that time I was paying bank for my ranch. So I didn't think they could do it, but I heard in my head, you want that? You got that. 3 phone calls. I found a 2-bedroom, 2-bath on a little over 2 acres for $450 a month. And then I was like, holy crap, now I have to go. And it was for sale, but the guy was willing to just rent it out. And I ended up actually buying that property. It's the one I just left, lived there for 17 years. And yeah, the reason I'm sharing this with you is this was a time in my life where everything was super uncertain, and Spirit told me to get up and move. It was time to move. They didn't give me a huge amount of information. They just told me 5 years prior, you're going to move to Colorado. And at that point, you are going to be expected to step in and fulfill your life purpose. And I had no idea what that was. My life purpose, as far as I was concerned, was having a good time, raising my kid and training horses and, living life. And at that point had extremely miraculous things happen to me, but I followed all of it. And I parted with everything except for what I could fit in this little moving truck. Towed my car, got my husky, shipped my horses, and ended up in a little place between Durango and Pogosa Springs in Colorado called Ignacio, out in what's called the Banana Belt, on this little 2-acre thing. Knew nobody, no idea what the economy was, no idea what I was going to do for work, right? Had left corporate a few years before that, had my marketing company, had a headhunting company, and then trained horses. Well, in Colorado, when I arrived, they all rode Western. There was no hunter jumper shows. There was no hunter jumper business, nothing. I found a couple students right off the bat, but I, woke up the morning we moved in there and I was like, Spirit, I'm unpacking this house. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm broke. I literally, after I paid the bills at the farm, after I closed everything out and paid the moving company that had put me in storage for that week, and then came back and loaded my moving truck, I had maybe $800 to my name to move into this place and to get us there. Okay. Big, huge leap of faith. And I could have sat there and freaked out. Not only did my relationship end because my ex ended up in rehab and I was shocked that he lied to me. So my relationship ended, my business ended. I had to give away or sell 6 horses. Most of them I sold. There was 2 of them I ended up donating to a rescue. All of my equipment went to pay the past bills because he cleared the entire account out and we were already had bills due. So all of the money I had was gone. And you can call me crazy for doing this, but I always trust in that voice, no matter how crazy it seems. And I tried not to judge the whole thing as it was happening. And believe me, I was scared shitless. Single mom moving now from California with everything I know to Colorado, to a place I've never been, know nothing about. Sight unseen, renting this place over the phone. The first day there, I got a couple of students somehow. I think it was the realtor had said, I know a couple of people. And within a couple of days, I had a couple students for writing, but that wasn't going to pay bills because there I couldn't even charge but half what I was charging in California to train horses. So I sat in meditation and prayed, unpacked the house, filled it with groceries and sat there and said, Spirit, I'm here. Now what? And had no idea. I started looking through the paper. Marketing jobs there paid $10 an hour, literally $10 an hour. I'm like, I can't drive an hour to town to work at a job that pays me $10 an hour. I haven't made $10 an hour since I was like 18. Like, this doesn't even make sense. Next thing you know, some weird, strange events started to happen. And online, I was directed to this site that you could get a psychic reading. I'm like, okay, so you want me to talk to a psychic? And the psychic's going to tell me what to do. And Spirit said, no, you're going to step in, use your gifts. You do the readings. And I was like, no way. Like, no how. Didn't even know you could make money doing this. Like, no. The first day I signed in, and of course I had to, because here I am, single mom, no child support, nothing. Like, I had never received child support for this kid of mine. We only had a few $100s to survive on. And I stepped in and I started giving readings. And the first day, I think I made like $45. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll give this a try. The next day I made like $80. The next thing you know, like every day it's doubling. And that first year I made enough to not only purchase the property that I was living in, but also put a down payment on to be able to build the house that we built there, which was 3,200 square feet. So why am I sharing all of this? It is not to tell you guys, haha, see what I can do. Okay. I had no idea when my life fell apart in 24 hours time that I was going to end up stepping in and using my spiritual gifts. Over the last 18 years, I have helped so many people. I mean, I don't know what the count is. I always say 35,000 because I know for sure within the last 2 years, the count was up to 35,000. I stopped counting. 35,000 across the world that I've helped and healed and offered, guidance to. And that was 18 years ago. The longest job I have ever held in my entire life, 18, the longest place I've ever lived was that property. 17 years I lived on that property. Um, but the day that all of this happened and this chain of events that happened, and it was not fun, right? I told you my ex relapsed. His family called the utility companies and like shut down my utilities. I had to pay deposits to get them turned back on, even though they were in my name, like because of what they did. All of these things happened that I could have looked at and judged as, holy crap, life's falling apart. I might have done something wrong. There must be something wrong with me. Why is God doing this to me? And I didn't. And this is why Spirit wants me to share this with you. Sometimes we go through these major shakeups in our lives that look like total destruction, devastation, and loss. But if you will stay in your place of faith, even the worst events of your life can turn into something miraculous. Like when I look at the changes that I made in my life from then until now, making that move to Colorado and removing myself from a very superficial lifestyle at that time, I will admit, even though I was spiritual and I was studied and all of that stuff, you know, I was still all about me. I wanted my life to be about me. I wasn't thinking about serving other people. I was only helping the horses. And with the horses, it was easy. Like I loved helping the horses, but with people, not so much. And the great thing was that even was ordained because in working with people, I mean, with horses, it became very clear and evident that the problem the horses were having was with their owners. So having Spirit put me in a place where I understood what these things that were happening in a way where I loved the work prepared me for what I was going to be doing and what I continue to do 18 years later. But that was traumatic. When I moved, everyone in my family once again was like, you can't move somewhere you don't. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Just get a job, close down the farm, get an apartment. But I could not deny the voice that had warned me 5 years before I'd be moving to Colorado. And at that point, I was stepping in to serve my purpose and that I was going to have to just listen. I have no doubt that had I not heeded the voice of Spirit, that things would have fallen apart worse. I'm not going to tell you guys it was easy. It was the scariest drive of my life, going someplace unknown, setting up in this little acreage far from anything I knew. Like I didn't even know where anything was when I'd gotten there because it was sight unseen. It all turned out beautifully. Like I built the house. I had Bella, which they also told me during that same time period, you're going to have another kid. And I laughed about all of these things that they had told me 5 years prior unfolded. I didn't know every step of the way. I was just forced to trust. So think about times in your life that things fall apart and maybe you're there right now. And I'm here to tell you, all you need to do is get quiet, pray. And then whatever your intuition is telling you, whatever Spirit is speaking to you, follow the instructions one step at a time. They will not give you the entire plan laid out. If you need that, that's not faith. They will tell you, take a leap of faith, follow the instructions. And like I did, you know, this was a long time ago. It all has seriously like panned out. I'm not going to tell you the last 18 years I haven't been without any struggle. I've been divorced. I got divorced when my daughter was I got divorced in 2004. She's 16 now. She was 2 years old. So I've been single, you know, I've had relationships, but not been married since. And a lot of people will look at that and just go, you know, how'd you do it? Oh, you're so brave. It's not that, you guys. Like, seriously, had I not listened, and I knew this then, just based on the dream I had that morning before everything blew up and fell apart, I knew that if I didn't follow the voice of Spirit and what God was telling me to do, my life was going to take a deep, bad, dark turn. And while it was scary to go through it and do all of it, it turned out better than I expected. I'm not kidding. Like, I learned the biggest lessons on that property. I built things from hand. Like, I was the general contractor building my big house, and we put a dome out there, and I raised goats and chickens and all kinds of stuff. And it was miraculous. Jump into the fire and know you won't get burned. Exactly. But, sometimes it goes against what we think we want. And if we will turn our lives over and go, I trust that you know what's in my highest interest, in my best good, and go along with it in faith, you will get the rewards of that. Like, Spirit is never going to lead you astray, ever. You're not going to be just led to these places and dropped on your ass. So I don't care what you're going through. Like, I don't care how severe it is. If you will pray, and if you will get quiet, and if you will meditate, and if you will just sit and wait for instruction, and that instruction may be something you don't want to do. You may be in total resistance. Believe me when I say I was. They at least gave me that week to go on a retreat to like get comfortable with all, because I told them there's no way I'm packing this up and going someplace I don't know in a place of fear. And right now I'm in total devastation. Give me a chance to settle all of this down. My relationship just ended. All the plans I had just stopped. Let me breathe. And then I will come back, get in a truck and move. And that they gave me that week. They gave me that week, and it was more like 4 days, 5 days to sit and to hike and to be in communion with them, to at least get everything healed before I took off on this new journey. I had a little kid. I had a 9-year-old kid. So to uproot her too, from all of her friends, from everything she knew, from family that was close by, and from everyone that I knew, was a big, huge deal. And it was a lonely deal. Like, the whole time I lived there, I didn't have many friends there because we were so far out in the country. But what I did have was spiritual allies all the time. And the people that did show up in my life were solid people. And the challenges that did show up in my life gave me more information and more wisdom and more skill in dealing not only with my own self and my own ego, but helping others. Many, many blessings, and I look back and I think I wouldn't do anything any different. I would not do anything any different. But at the time, I thought for sure my life is going to shit. I just lost everything. How am I going to get it back? Not only did I get everything that I lost back, it was given back, multiplied. I always think about Job when I think about that time in my life. And they always reminded me of what Job went through. Everyone's like giving him shit about all these things that he went through. And when he was restored, it was restored and multiplied. I'm not going to say that's the only time that I've had to lose everything or lose something big that I thought I wanted. I closed out that place a year ago and still going through the settling of all of it. But I don't do anything without asking Spirit first. And when Spirit brings something that big to me and says, take a leap of faith, do it, I listen. And I've never been misled. So whatever you're being told right now, whatever you're dealing with right now, before you make a decision, take it to Spirit, take it to God. You will be directed. All right. I kid you not. People call me crazy and still probably think I'm crazy, but when you're in alignment with the divine, when you're in alignment with infinite wisdom, when you are in a place of faith, it doesn't matter what goes wrong around you. You always know that whatever is falling apart for a reason. And it's meant to take you to the next big opportunity. It's meant to take you to the next big thing. So don't judge it. That's my message for you guys today. If there's anything that I can tell you from that time in my life, the scariest, biggest leap of faith I've ever made, if there's anything I can tell you, is do not judge things as bad. No matter how bad it looks, no matter how bad it feels as it's happening, don't judge it as bad. Look to see what's wanting to emerge in you, within you, and in your life. Because chances are, that's exactly what's happening. Spirit is coming in and removing things so that you can take the next step, go to the next level. And if you just ask the question, all right, what is God trying to make emerge from me? What wants to be birthed from me? What wants to be up-leveled from here? What is my next step? You're going to find that you are always led to the perfect opportunities and perfect place. And sometimes you got to do it without knowing what the hell's waiting on the other side. And as scary as that is, it's also super exciting. I remember the night we pulled in there, and oh my God, we didn't get there until like 9:00 at night. And I got lost because it wasn't like we had GPS back then. So, and dirt roads, and I mean, crazy. that night we pulled in and made the turn to go to where our house was. A deer and a baby, brand new baby deer, were on the road, jumped right in front of the truck, but was at a slow speed, so we didn't hit them. And I stopped, and for a moment, all I heard was, "This is all about fertility. This is all about innocence. This is all about trust. So trust." And from that day forward, everything was smooth. I mean, really, really smooth with everything that occurred. And I knew that when I heeded the voice of spirit and did what I was told, everything was going to be okay, and got into this business of doing this business because I was led to do it, not because I needed something. Spirit's the one that told me to do it. I would probably much prefer doing something else. And throughout the years, thought that many, many times. But every time I've asked, Spirit, is it time to hang it up? Spirit says, no, not time to hang it up. Have faith. So I hope this helps some of you, any of you. There's a reason I did this today. One of you or a few of you are going through something big and you're like, I don't know if I can have faith. And I'm here to tell you that's all you can have. Like, you gotta have faith. And then you have to just heed the guidance. And when you're in alignment, things are so much easier, like so much easier. And when you have tools for when the ego kicks in, or when fear kicks in, when confusion kicks in, it's so much easier to navigate life. Like, no kidding. I've learned so much in the 17 years that I was plopped out in the middle of nowhere, virtually alone. I've learned so much about how the universe works and how to make it work for me. So I just want to encourage all of you, like, whatever loss, whatever devastation, whatever, don't judge it. Just ask, what wants to emerge? What is trying to clear out of my life? If we can stand in this place of embracing what's happening to us, I think we have so much better of an opportunity to enjoy the ride and not be so scared. That was the beginning of this great spiritual adventure that I've been on, and it has not stopped. And thank God it has not stopped. I'm not going to tell you guys that I haven't waved my fist in the air at sometimes and gone, you guys are crazy. You're crazy. But it's always worked out. So have some faith in that. If you want help, getting yourself clear of the things that are blocking you, that you're unsure of, just go to my website and check out all the different ways that you can work with me. I mean, I've got several ways that you can come work with me. And I'm really good at helping, giving you tools and resources to get through all of your fears and all of your past traumas. And that was something I had to do too, was work through all of the junk from the past that made me scared. And once I worked through all of those fears, having faith was so much easier. So I want to help you guys with that. But I'm glad, Debbie, I'm glad that helped you. And whoever else is going through some major transition right now, and you're like, ooh, what do I do? Go pray, go into meditation, and then have faith with whatever guidance that you get. Okay. And leap of faith. Leap of faith. And if you need confirmation for whatever it is that, you feel like you're being led to do and you're not sure, is this ego, is this spirit, ask for a confirmation, make that sign specific. That's why I've been sharing with you guys. Like, I always ask for specific signs. I asked for a dragonfly. Not only did I ask for a dragonfly yesterday, I asked that it would land near, and it did. And I put the video up about it. And then after that dragonfly came, within 30 minutes, the thing I had prayed about would happen. And I got the dragonfly's confirmation. Within 30 minutes, that very thing happened. And I was like, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's the way life's meant to be. Magical, right? That's what living a charmed life is all about, is you can, when you're in alignment, when you're connected to spirit, you can ask and things show up. And when you need to make course corrections, the information comes up for you too. You're given the information to make the course corrections needed to be on the right path to have the things work out for you. So not that hard. So get into prayer, get into meditation. I love you guys. I will see you